Yahya Sinwar killed accidentally by the IDF. I think that Khaled Mashal have a lot of chances to get again the ranks as the head of the political bureau of Hamas. Muhammad Elf also had a lot of reputation for almost 3 decades of fighting against Israel. After he eliminated, still, Hamas continued to fight. Nothing was changed. The fighting on the ground will continue in the Gaza Strip for the time being. Because Hamas as a movement in the Gaza Strip has a few thousand military operatives. Hamas is like a phoenix. Hamas has the ability as a movement all the time to recover. Time after time, Israel eliminated one leader or another.
On Thursday, the Israeli military killed the Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. To talk about what it means for the region, I am joined by Guy Aviad, a historian and researcher. He's been studying Hamas and the movement for years, and we're joined by him. Thank you so much, Aviad, for taking out the time and talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
To begin with, what could you tell us about this operation in which Sinwar was killed by the Israeli military?
Okay, Yahya Sinwar killed accidentally by the IDF in the neighborhood which called Tel El Sultan at the western part of the city of Rafah in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. It was by an accident by a few regular soldiers of the IDF. It was not a coordinated or planned operation. It was by an accident.
And that's very interesting. Such a dreaded man, a man who the entire Israeli army, intelligence, of course, US intelligence as well, has been looking for such a long time, was found at the front line and accidentally killed by the Israeli military. What does that tell you as somebody who's been sort of, studying Hamas for years? What does that tell you?
It's tell you that he was maybe entrapped in Rafah area or Rafah enclave. I think that he tried to get to the north to a Khan Yunis district or maybe to the Dir el Balah area, but of course he failed. I think that Israel took a lot of his underground infrastructure in Rafah. I think I get into surprise that he still in Rafah and not in Khan Yunis area. But of course, I'm glad that he is finished.
Right. And in last few weeks, Israel has managed to neutralize top operatives, top leaders of both Hezbollah and now, of course, Hamas. What do you think is going to be the impact of this on the situation in the Middle East and, of course, the battle that Israel is fighting at this point in time with Hamas and, of course, Hezbollah? And then, of course, we will talk about Houthis a little bit later.
Okay, Israel is of course still in a multi-arena war with Lebanon, with the Gaza Strip, with a lot of military activity in the West Bank, of course, and also Israel is waiting to retaliate against Iran, of course. So the situation in the Middle East is very complicated. As far for us, according to Hamas leadership, the Hamas leadership is going to re-elect a new leader to the movement after the elimination of first of Ismail Haniyeh in July, and the second the elimination of Yahya Sinwar 2 days ago. I think that the nomination will be about a week or two from now, as has been before after the killing of Ismail Haniyeh. I think that Khaled Mashal have a lot of chances to get again the ranks as the head of the political bureau of Hamas. Hamas is still functioning and operating very well abroad. Their mechanism and apparatuses in Turkey and also in Qatar did not affect at all from the war during that year. Still, Hamas has two main administrative apparatuses abroad. One of them is the construction bureau that built the all military power in Gaza Strip. They delivered materials, weapons, servers, and money, especially from Turkey and Lebanon, into Gaza Strip. And the second apparatus is the financial department, which situated in Istanbul, which ruled all over the financial assets of the Hamas movement, and always supply the activists of the Hamas movement in the West Bank and also in Gaza Strip with a lot of funds from abroad.
Now, a lot to unpack there, but let's go over those things one after another. The first thing that I want to talk to you about is, of course, you talked about Mashal being considered as a replacement of a Sinwar. But my question to you at this point in time is, will it be somebody as pragmatic as him who will be chosen as a replacement of Sinwar, or will it be a wartime general that Hamas would like to replace Sinwar with? Because, at this point in time, Hamas is, of course, in a conflict with Israel.
First of all, Hamas movement it's not a one man show. Hamas it's like an orchestra, okay? Um, so Khalid Mashal, of course, is more pragmatic or maybe moderate than Sinwar, but still is extremist enough. I want to remind you that the idea to initiate a major attack against Israel, according to the former security minister of Israel, Avigdor Lieberman, initiated in 2016 under the rule of Khalid Mashal as the head political of Hamas movement. So that's the truth. As for Gaza, of course, there is no someone in the size of Yahya Sinwar, of course, but still at the ground itself, or from the military point of view, his successor in Gaza Strip will be first of all his younger brother Muhammad Sinwar, who born in 1975 and has been before the commander brigade of Hamas in Khan Yunis, and after that he succeeded Muhammad Def as almost the head of the military wing of Hamas in Gaza Strip. Uh, Beside him, there is also another big operator or a commander in Gaza, which his name is Izzeddin Haddad. He was and still remain the commander of Hamas military brigade in the city of Gaza. And after the elimination of Muhammad Def and Rafah Salame at the 13th of July last summer, uh, those two divided between themselves the military operations in the Gaza Strip. Izzeddin Haddad took the northern part of the Gaza Strip, and Muhammad Sinwar took the southern part of the Gaza Strip. So there is a coordination and cooperation between the two, and still we see that although a lot of casualties in the ranks of the military wing of Hamas, Hamas still fighting against the IDF, still managed to create a kind of a war of attrition against Israel with a lot of guerrilla warfare in the area.
Now, as you were saying earlier, Hamas, of course, is an organization which has a lot of individuals who could replace and take over as far as Sinwar's position is concerned. But having said that, this must have had an adverse impact on the morale of the Hamas operatives in Gaza and elsewhere. So, in terms of the impact of Sinwar's killing, what do you think that is going to be?
Look, I want to remind you that Muhammad Elf also had a lot of reputation for almost 3 decades of fighting against Israel. After he eliminated, still, Hamas continued to fight. Nothing was changed. and I think so that that will be the same with Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar, as prominent as he was, is still another soldier in the conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Hamas is like a phoenix. Hamas has the ability as a movement all the time to recover. Time after time, Israel eliminated one leader or another. So there is a kind of impact, but still, most of the apparatuses and the leaders abroad are free to operate their headquarters in Lebanon, in Doha, Qatar, in Turkey did not damage. Hamas also, as a movement, representatives, official one in Iran, in Yemen, in Lebanon, in Algeria, in Mauritania. Hamas has a great foreign relationship with Russia, for example, of course, with Qatar. So Hamas will take. Of course, it's a blow that Sinwar is gone, but still, the movement is stronger than any other person in Hamas.
So are you saying there is no possibility, despite the fact that Sinwar is dead, that there could be, progress as far as ceasefire talks are concerned? You're saying that the fact that Sinwar is dead, that's not going to change.
Look, I think that the terms of Hamas before Sinwar death still remains the same. Hamas as a movement still insist that Israel will cease the fire immediately and permanently. Secondly, Hamas demand that the IDF forces will withdraw from the Gaza Strip completely. Third, Hamas wants a guarantee that no one will eliminate its leadership in Gaza Strip a minute after you get the deal. And fourth, Hamas, of course, wants an honorable and dignified deal of hostages exchange between Israel and Hamas. The terms and the condition of the movement did not change for a thing.
Okay, okay. Now, considering Hamas operatives are engaged in guerrilla warfare with Israeli military, with Israeli forces, what do you think is going to be the change in strategy, if at all, considering Sinwar is now dead, in terms of how Hamas is fighting with Israel? Do you think this will have any impact in terms of the strategy with which Hamas has been, fighting with Israel?
I think that the fighting on the ground will continue in the Gaza Strip for the time being, because Hamas as a movement in the Gaza Strip has a few thousand military operatives that still operate on the ground, and from time to time they cause us, as Israelis, of course, casualties. Uh, its main strategy is to exhaust you as a society and as an economy also. So they are going to continue the struggle because Israel didn't got the terms of Hamas, of course. And I think that although Sinwar eliminated, still his brother want to revenge his older brother death. I think that Hamas, of course, still holds 101 hostages dead and alive in the Gaza Strip. So it's a great card from his point of view, of course. And if Israel will not accept his term to cease fire permanently and to withdraw its forces from the strip, I think that the fighting will continue. And unfortunately, the fate of the Israeli hostages at the end of Hamas, of course, will be very, very sad.
Interestingly, what was being said was that whenever Sinwar is found, chances are he'd be found surrounded by these hostages who still are with Hamas. But when he was finally found, accidentally, of course, in this case, there were no hostages around him. What do you have to say about that aspect of how Sinwar was found and then, of course, accidentally killed?
Okay, look, Israel discovered yesterday that about a month ago, Sinwar and his associate friends were in the underground complex in Rafah, near the place that the six hostages murdered about a month and a half ago. So that was the case about 40 days ago. But after the IDF, the Israeli army, succeed to to took from Hamas most of this underground infrastructure in Rafah, Sinwar has to fled from this place to another place, especially to Khan Yunis or to Dir al Balach area. He tried to do so, but he didn't succeed. And by, as I told you before, accidentally, the IDF soldiers saw something, someone very a suspect on the ground and killed them. That's all. That's the thing.
Right. And going forward, how do you see this war panning out now, considering most of the top leadership of Hamas and Hezbollah has been destroyed? But at the same time, as you were also saying, and in very clear words, that the infrastructure that they have, that the operatives that they have, continue to remain, in place and, of course, strong. So going forward, what do you see happening? How will this conflict, which started now a little over a year ago, how will this come to an end?
Unfortunately, I don't see the end of fighting for the next future, for the close future, of course, because still we have a huge fight in south of Lebanon. We are still waiting to Israel to retaliate on the Iranian attack 2 weeks ago, and still there is a lot of military activity on the ground in Gaza Strip and also in the West Bank. So the situation is very complicated, and I have to add that we are waiting also to a new president in the United States, and we don't know how the new president or Madam President will act against Israel. I don't think that the strategy of Joe Biden will continue, and I think that Israel will going to be under a lot of pressure uh, under Kamala Harris or either under Donald Trump. I don't know how the future is going to be, but I think it will not be comfortable enough as it had been under the Biden administration.
Right, right. In the context of the US elections, what is the sentiment on ground in Israel? Who are the Israelis hoping in the US should win the presidential election? Is there a sentiment
I
clearly?
think that especially the right wing in Israel and especially Prime Minister and his government want the Republicans and Donald Trump to be elected to the president of the United States. But still, it's Donald Trump is a very unstable character, and I want to remind you that at the last term of Donald Trump, he put on the table a political plan that called the century plan, which means that Israel have to seize some territory in the Negev and gave it to the Gaza Strip, and also he want a kind of a peace process between Israelis and the Palestinians. So I don't know what to expect if it's going to be Donald Trump or either Kamala Harris, but I think that most of the Israelis want that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. Yeah.
All right. This is, of course, a developing situation. And, as and when
Mhm.
more developments occur, we would definitely love to sort of, talk to you again. We are thank you for taking out the time and talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.